What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how you can be a fast twitch wide receiver. So we're going to talk about how wide receivers can make faster cuts, get faster off the ball, and have pretty much a faster change of direction. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you're maybe not sure what you should do in the gym to improve your skills, check out that very first link in the description below for our 12-week-long wide receiver gym workout plan. What you'll get access to is 90 days of wide receiver gym workouts to improve your speed, your explosiveness, your balance, the works, everything that's going to translate to on-field play. So check out that very first link in the description below, fellas, for a 90-day schedule. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first, here we're looking at this route from Jerry Jeudy from the game last night, and I want to pay attention to his foot strike on the cut. So he's attacking the inside shoulder of the DB to try to get him to bite on the inside move so he could slip outside for this slot fade. So when he decides to throw this cut, I want you to pay very close attention to where his toe is angled. You see how his toe is slightly angled to the direction that he is going. Now, Jerry Jeudy has got some of the freakiest cuts in the entire NFL, probably in the history of the NFL. The way his knee caves inward, the way he's able to move, how explosive he's able to be, and, not just flat out hurt himself, right? Because a lot of wide receivers, when they cut and their ankle is turned inward, their knee is turned inward, that's kind of a bad position to be in. I'm not going to try to sit here and say that this is a position that you should try to replicate, because it's not. But the one thing that we can learn from this is the shin angle that's going to get you out of a break faster, right? So when you guys decide to make a cut, so many guys, when they try to sell, obviously when Jeudy throws this cut to the inside here, what's the goal? Get this DB to bite so we could slip back outside. Now, what a lot of guys will do is they're so concerned with selling that this movement is that they'll take this toe, and that toe will end up pointing towards the inside of the field. Now, I know this is a very minor detail, but watch what happens when your toe goes to the inside. When you take this cut and that toe opens up, what ends up happening is your hips open up. But when your hips are facing this way, your toes facing this way, you cannot drive off of that foot to get you outside with some explosion and with some fast twitch. When you guys make a cut, like let's say you're running a post route, for example, you're running maybe an out route, very similar to this type of cut. You want to try to keep those toes pointed just slightly forward. You don't have to turn them in the direction that you were going. I know some people like doing that, and I'm not going to necessarily say that's wrong, but that can give away the route sometimes if you start to maybe round with your body because you were starting to turn. But a good gauge to have is you want to have a positive shin angle. You don't have to need it. You do not need it to look like the way Jerry Jeudy has his leg. But what you do want is your toes pointed forward so you could drive off that middle arch of the foot, and that can give you some explosion and some push off of that cut to give you a little bit more twitch with your movements. So fellas, long story short, whenever you guys are making a cut with the ball, a cut off the line, we're going to release, cut at the top of the route, you have to make sure that that toe is pointed forward. It's not opened up so I could actually drive off that middle arch of the foot. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Again, great, solid job by Jeudy selling to the inside. Just make sure, fellas, we are keeping that toe pointed forward so I could get plenty of explosion with that release. Okay, so now, second thing I want to look at here is we're going to be talking about how you guys can get a little bit more like twitchy with with your releases off the line. How can you get a faster release? So this wide receiver here is going with like kind of a hesitation skip release, right? You see we got a DB's lined up inside shade. He goes with this little hezzy skip to close the space, and then he gives this very twitchy jab to the inside. Now, how do you get to this point? Mechanically, how can we get to this point? So when he comes off the ball, you see how he hesitates, right? One of the things with this hesitation move that I like to say is that you want to push off of your back foot and reach with your front foot. Because nothing worse when you guys do a hesitation move and you guys are too far from the DB because you didn't gain any ground. The goal is to close this cushion right here, get into his frame, almost step on his toes, and then get him to bite inside to set you back up outside. Whatever route it might be, an out route, a corner route, a fade route, whatever route it is. But we have to close the cushion to threaten him to the inside. So he pushes off this back foot and reaches with his front foot. Now, this is where a lot of wide receivers go wrong. When they do this and when they push off the back, reach off the front, their base gets very wide. So this foot right here, his left foot will end up wide. His back foot will be almost trailing behind him. And when your base is wide, you lose that explosion and that twitch on your cuts. Because think about it. If you guys stand like try something for me, stand up. Or just maybe even if you're sitting, widen out your feet. Now try to throw a cut with your like left foot with your feet super wide outside your frame. You can't reach that far, right? So that's being outside your frame, that's being wide with your base. Now close your feet down to where they're inside your shoulders and try to step to the exact same spot. You see how it's a little bit easier to step with that actual foot. That is what we want off the line. Anytime you guys are closing the space with the DB, you want to try to keep your feet underneath your shoulders. So when you go attack him, your feet stay underneath your shoulders. Okay, now I can actually throw. I could actually step to the inside. I could throw my hip. I could throw my upper body because my feet were inside my frame. So I'm essentially loaded up to throw into the inside. Because you have to understand, fellas, a disciplined DB is going to be watching where? He's going to be watching your hips, right? So when he's watching your hips, but your feet are super wide and you're just taking a quick jab and your hips really aren't moving, that's not going to get him to bite. But your feet start out where this wide receiver's feet start out, inside of his frame. That allows you to throw your hip into the cut, and that is what can threaten that DB a little bit more to the inside and set us up back outside for some separation. So just make sure, fellas, that we have a good base coming off the line. If I'm doing a hezzy move, if I'm doing a quicker pace move, I cannot let my feet get too wide. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver with that very twitchy hesitation release. So again, to be a little bit more fast twitch off the line, make sure that base is under your frame. All right, so now we're going to be talking about how you guys can get a little bit more separation with your cuts at the top of the route or the top of a break by being aggressive with your hips. So this is from wide receiver Makai Lemon. He's a high school wide receiver, highly ranked guy going to USC. And I want to talk about how he's able to put the brakes on this diamond release. So let's play at full speed. So he gets like kind of slow move, bursts to the outside, and then puts the brakes on and gets separation. Now, personally, this is called the diamond release. So that's where you take 3 steps outside. So in this case, it would be left, right, left, and you would cut off of the left foot. Usually on this type of route, I prefer it to be off of 1 step, not you dropping your hips and changing levels. But the hip drop has to be explosive if you decide to do it. So he comes off this ball. Now he pushes vertical, right? So when you guys want to get more explosion on your cuts, you guys want to make faster cuts, you actually have to run hard. That's a way to generate explosion and to generate speed. If you're running a route like, let's say, not even this diamond release, because this is going to be easier to understand. Let's say you're running like a 12 back to 10 yard comeback. Here's 12, and then we're coming back to 10. When you are running up to 12, you actually have to run hard. If you are jogging and then you try to drop your hips or sink your hips or, beat the drum like so many people would do in that situation and come back to 10, you lose all fast twitch, you lose all speed. You actually have to attack the depth of 12 yards. So when you decide to make that break to make sure that we cut on a dime, you're going to have to be aggressive with that hip drop. You're going to have to snap down and be violent with your hips. So that's exactly what Makai does in this example. He pushes vertical because he's trying to sell fade, right? Just like on any route. On a 12-yard comeback, you're trying to sell fade until you get to 12 yards. To one, get the DB to bail, but also so we could get that explosion at the top of the break. So on this diamond release, he's selling fade. He's running as hard as he can. He's running in full stride, full speed, good pad level. But to put the brakes on, he's got to be aggressive with those hips. That's the only way that you can make a tight change of direction when running full speed. If you guys are running full speed and you just try to chop your feet and just like beat the drum with your hands, I hate when wide receivers do that when they have all this unnecessary foot and hand movement. That just wastes time and loses speed. Our goal on every single route should be to run hard, put the brakes on with some violence, and that like aggressive hip drop is what will shoot you out of the break with some explosion and allow you to win. He kind of pops up after the hip drop. That's the thing that we have to be careful about sometimes. But if we can drop, stay low, and drive, there's a ton of twitch and there's a ton of speed to that type of movement. So fellas, this goes for any type of route where you got to drop your hips. I personally don't like this on the diamond release, but I wanted to include it because it is a great example of the hip drop. So on hitches, on comebacks, on digs, to be able to get the leverage on the DB and sometimes throw him by, or just to get him to think fade, we have to push vertical, but to get that explosion out of the break, I got to be violent with my breaks. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Lemon being patient, pushing up to the outside, running full speed, and then putting the brakes on with those violent hips to win on that diamond release slant. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. You guys help keep this channel going, so any kind of feedback is always much appreciated, fellas. And again, if you guys would like a full 90-day wide receiver gym workout schedule, everything wide receivers need to do specifically for the wide receiver position in the gym, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.